Jonathan, great to have you here. I want to start with just your sense of tonight and how it was impacted by NIL, because there is an understanding that this may indeed be the high water mark for the available cash in NIL. That might change, but there was big money to be had out there if guys stayed rather than coming into the draft. How much do you think it impacted the available pool that we saw tonight?
It had a massive impact on the pool. This was the weakest second round that I've seen in my 20 years covering the NBA draft. There were 15 to 20 players who could have heard their names called tonight that are going back to college basketball next year. And it's not just Americans. There's a lot of European players who were in my second round all year long and got $2 to $3 million offers to play in the Big 12, the SEC, or the ACC. And they said, sure, I'll take the $3 million over a maybe two-way. So, yeah, But what that means is the 2026 draft is going to be stacked because there are going to be a ton of juniors, rising seniors coming back, and those guys are going to, flood the next year's draft class. We have AJ DeBonza, Cam Boozer, Darren Peterson. It's going to be an awesome group of players.
Yeah, and I think you make the great point that folks that like college basketball saw for sure just that European influx around the big-time college basketball. Seemed like one a day was being selected, or not selected, but signing with a big-time Power 5 program. All right, so much of basketball, Jonathan, so much of sports really, succeeding as a professional level is fit. If you're taken in a place where you've got fit, you've got a chance. Give me a selection tonight that you feel like is a perfect fit for a player.
Ryan Kalkbrenner being drafted by the Charlotte Hornets. We just saw them trade Mark Williams last night to the Phoenix Suns. They had a pretty big gap here at the center position. They filled that with the four-time Big East Defensive Player of the Year, 7'2", 7'6" wingspan, one of the best shot blockers in this draft. Big-time pick-and-roll finisher. He's a mistake-free player. He can hedge screens on the perimeter. He's experienced. He's 23 years old. He knows his role. He can play in the NBA 15 to 20 minutes per game tomorrow already.
Yeah, he can knock down shots, too. I'm with you. I really enjoyed watching him play for Creighton during his time there. All right, there's sort of maybe it's the same version of the question, but looking at it from a team's perspective, who's somebody that you were thinking, wow, even if it's a weak second round, this is real value here. I'm surprised that this player maybe was available late. Is there somebody that fits that description?
Definitely, Scott. I was surprised to see Maxime Reynaud fall all the way to 42. The Sacramento Kings drafted him there. He was 25th on my big board, first team All-ACC. 7'1", made 60-plus threes this year at Stanford. Every team in the league is looking for a stretch five right now. He's mobile. He's athletic. He's high character. He's only been playing basketball for 4 years right now. He came to Stanford as a walk-on. His high school senior year was his first serious season of basketball. Victor Wembanyama and him are going to go toe-to-toe. I'm sure that's going to be a lot of fun. They're best friends. They're chess partners. I'm excited about Maxime Reynaud in Sacramento.
I just couldn't stop smiling when you said all ACC and we're watching a guy at Stanford. What a world we live in. But that's a different conversation, Jonathan. Great work. You're fantastic covering this. I'm sure you're diving into 26 already, but give yourself some time, man. We'll talk again soon. Thank you. With the NBA's two-night draft now complete, some key dates to keep in mind as teams can begin free agent negotiations Monday, 6 Eastern. Free agent officially begins at noon the following Sunday. That's July the 6th. Summer League kicks off in Utah July 5th, runs through the 20th in Vegas. Regular season begins just over 3 months later in late October, the 21st to be precise. We welcome in our guy Brian Windhorst, kind enough to stick around, although it is 50-50 in that union shop. If you will not be picked up and taken away along with the signage behind you, Windy, I appreciate it. I have to hit it one more time.
What's going on in Utah?
Ace Bailey's selected there, and look, I like him maybe more than others do. He can really play. He can really make buckets, but there's so much question about does he want to be there? Like, what's your sense of that?
Okay, so he very clearly was trying to guide himself to certain places in the draft, and he very clearly didn't have Utah on that list. Now, Jonathan Givony reported earlier that at least one of the teams in the top 5 was told, and maybe more than one, but we know at least one was told, if you draft my client, he is not going to report. Okay, he did not go to Utah today. Walter Clayton, their other first-round draft pick, did go to Utah today. Now, the Jazz have said that's not an issue. They allow their new players to go home. But he will be expected to be there on Monday when their summer league training camp begins. So let's see. But one thing I will tell you with confidence. Danny Ainge and his son Austin are not going to bend here. They are not going to get pushed around. They do not care with what this situation might bring. So the idea that they are going to pressure the Jazz into something I don't think will be successful for Ace Bailey and his operation. But let's see how the next 72 hours plays out.
I want to just follow this because, again, I watched him play a ton for Rutgers, and I like him. But this seems kind of ridiculous to me. Like, he's good, but he's not this good to be trying to dictate to people, don't take me. Like, what the hell is that?
Well, look, first off, let me just say maybe he goes to Utah, is at that first practice on Monday, and is ready to go, and everything is fine. But I will just say the Jazz pretty much tanked last season, and then they got terrible luck in the lottery to go all the way back to 5th. They were hoping to get one of those top 2 picks. Then they had the circumstances come out where one of the top 3 most talented players on most people's estimation and boards was there at 5. They have to take that player there, Scott. They are not in position with where they are with their roster and the competition in the Western Conference to let a talented player like that go by. So they've got to do it. And if it leads to a couple of weeks or a couple of months, hopefully not, of a little bit uncomfort, they will deal with it because that's what they have to do as an organization right now.
I can only imagine the text threads that you have and who's on them from around the league as the draft's going on. Like, can you believe this? Holy crap. What was the move in these 2 days, and I can probably guess what it was, that had people just trying to figure out what's the rationale for this?
Okay, let's talk about the Pelicans. Let's draw a line, though. First off, they got Jeremiah Fears and Derek Queen. Those are 2 lottery picks. They added a lot of talent to their roster. And if Queen ends up being a strong pick and ends up being a significant player, which many people think that he will be, this could end up being a footnote. As soon as they made the Fears pick, Joe Dumars and his staff began calling teams behind them at 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 to try to get back into the draft. And they were able to do that. They could accomplish their goal. What's been reacted to in the league with some wild stuff on my phone, Scott, has been the price that they paid to move up the 10 spots from the 23rd pick to the 13th pick. Mostly because there is concern over whether the Milwaukee Bucks are what is going to be on their roster a year from now. And there is uncertainty about whether the Pelicans are going to be a team that has a playoff level roster for next year. And the Atlanta Hawks will get the more favorable of those 2 picks next year. Some people think that that will leave these Pelicans looking foolish. And the Pelicans believe they have gotten a terrific player that everybody will forget what the price was. We'll wait and find out, and that's one of the things that makes the draft great.
I agree, and I recused myself here because DQ's my guy, and I'm going to be rooting for him. So hopefully things go well for him in New Orleans, but time will ultimately be the judge, as it always is. Brian, until we meet again, be well, my friend. I appreciate your time throughout the season. You're the best. All right.
NBA